quiero que le digas a todas tus amigas que ya llegaron
las más que primas.
Welcome to the next episode of Más que Primas podcast. My name is Jessica.
My name is Carol, known as Viri.
And I'm Karina.
And I am Moni. And today we wanted to continue with the theme of getting to know us, talking about our upbringings, where we were born, and also ending with the conversation of where we are now in life. How about I start? So, since we all have different stories as to how we got where we're at, although our parents are siblings, I was born here in the United States, and that's not everybody's story. I am an only child. That's also not everybody's story. Actually, out of the siblings, my dad was the only one that just had one. There's one other sibling that didn't have children, but all the rest of them had 2 or more. I think the average is probably like 3 or 4 actually. So I'm kind of the oddball with that. But yeah, here, born and raised, never really moved far. I moved from one town to another about 20 minutes apart when I was 2. Otherwise, I've been here my whole life. And I'm the baby of the group. I'm the youngest.
I'll share our story, and then you obviously can jump in. So I'll share it because Viri and I are sisters. For those that didn't watch the first episode, we are sisters. We might not look alike, so put your comments below if you think I'm adopted or not.
And you should go watch our first episode.
Yes, because we tell you a little bit more about that. But anyway, so Viri and I were not born here like Jessica. We actually lived in Mexico for a while before we transitioned over here. But around what age? 6, right? I was 6. You were?
Yeah, I was 11.
Yes, and then my younger sister was like 3.5 or something like that. If our math is correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we moved from Mexico. We actually went to California first for a few months.
Really?
Yeah, I remember being in California, not for a long time.
No.
Yeah.
But we stayed there, and then we transitioned here to where we're at right now. But yeah, and then we can share a little bit more once we get into our...
So that's something you guys both have in common then, that you guys went to California first.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about you guys.
Yeah.
So I was also born in Mexico. Me and my older brother were born in Mexico, and then my 2 younger brothers were born here in the United States. We also went to California first because we do have family in our dad's side, in mom's side for you guys. So my dad is brothers to their mom and brothers to Jessica's dad. And we went to California first because we have our aunt that lives out there.
But you lived there for how long?
It was a few months. I want to say it was a few months or maybe a year, because then Josue was born in California.
And when you guys moved in,
really?
we were 2.
I didn't know that.
I think we were 2 when you guys moved in.
Yeah.
When you guys came here.
Yeah, so I think I was 2 when
No, he was.
No, but I was 2 when we came to the United States, to California.
Okay.
And then there's a 3-year difference between us. So then I think, we might have been there for a year, because then my mom got pregnant with Josue. Josue was born there. And then we moved back to Mexico, because also when we moved to California, because when we moved to California, they had there was like all these riots going on, and it was very scary. Like during that time, it was just very scary, and we didn't live in the best neighborhood. So my mom decided we'd go back to Mexico, and then my dad would come to the United States again, get established, get a job, and then move back, but not California. So
I did not
that's
know
why
that.
we ended up going back to Mexico, because it was a lot to move. Family of 3.
Yeah.
So
Well, for us, actually, fun fact, when we would come, well, I don't remember. Yeah, I think we would visit, but we were little. A lo mejor no me acuerdo mucho, pero I remember. Oh no, it was the first time. But I remember that when we first moved here, the intention was for us not to live here, like to stay. According to my mom, my dad first came, then my mom followed with us. And I remember the first months, it was so much fun because obviously the United States and so many primos and primas and getting to experience like Six Flags and getting to experience like the mall and just the parks. It was completely different.
Everything was
and since we have a huge family, also our first episode lets you know that we have a huge family. Every Tío and Tía were fighting to take us out somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Like, we're gonna take you out this. So were living our best life. We're like, I'm good. And then one day things stopped for us. Like it wasn't going out anymore as often. It wasn't more like, oh, you're gonna go to Six Flags this weekend. They're gonna take you here. And I remember telling my mom, like, ¿por qué ya no salimos? ¿O por qué mamá? Hija, ¿por qué ya nos vamos a quedar? And I'm like, what do you mean? Wait, what do you
We're
mean?
not on vacation
She's
anymore.
like, no, aquí vamos a vivir. Y pues sí, todo cambió. Everything changed for us because, I mean, for me it didn't impact me as much. I think for Beatty impacted her more because
Oh,
she,
yeah, for sure.
At that age, you're still so much more resilient.
yeah,
For
you
sure.
like,
Yeah.
you
Whatever,
like, okay,
just going with
whatever,
the
just
flow.
go with the beat.
Yeah.
It was like the language, new school,
Yeah.
friends. For me, it's like,
And
okay,
then preteen years
Yes.
are already so
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
enough,
Yeah.
let alone going through a culture shock, language shock.
Yeah,
Everything.
that's I think for me that's what I had to experience. The language barrier, culture barrier, all of that is for me it was way harder than for my sister and my youngest sister. Yo recuerdo que llegaba a la casa llorando con mi mamá y le decía, mamá, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué me trajiste acá? No entiendo nada. Para mí era muy frustrante y más a esa edad que tú quieres, como que quieres ser parte del clan, pero no sabes ni cómo, porque no te sabes comunicar. Recuerdo también que había una niña que nunca voy a olvidar esa niña. Ella fue como la que me hizo sentir un poquito como que está bien, no pasa nada. Y ella no hablaba español,
Oh,
yo
no.
hablaba inglés. Entonces,
I had
para mí
someone like that.
se me hizo tan bonito que ella hiciera eso por mí, porque ella veía, ella es, she's struggling, let me help her out, let me make her feel like she's welcome here.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I remember it was hard for me up till this point, believe it or not, todavía, ya no tanto, y Cari ha sido como la que más me ha echado porras en ese sentido. I was very, very self-conscious about, speaking English, porque hasta la fecha se me hace muy complicado y aquí lo van a ver a través de varios episodios que obvio me puedo comunicar mejor en español, pero he aprendido que eso es parte de mi vivencia, es parte de las experiencias y lo que me ha hecho ser la persona que soy el día de hoy. Que no todo en la vida va a ser fácil y que tenemos que pasar por esas
And
cosas.
embrace those changes and
Exactamente, pero sí, definitivamente sí fue bien difícil para mí. Yo sí le batallé poquito pero ahora I look back and I'm like, I'm so just grateful for, like, yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
also, I think it was helpful that we had a family that was so close and that helped each other to make us feel welcome and to make those little struggles not so obvious all the
Sí.
time. And that's how our relationship as primas became even stronger, because since we were little, although we were in different places, our parents made sure that they still had a strong relationship, so that no matter what, they knew teníamos primas, tenías primos, and then when we were all here now, it was an opportunity, which I was just learning right now that Moni lived with you,
Yes.
which is
Yeah, when they first
I don't
moved here
remember
from
that.
California, just so they could get on their feet, it was just a few months.
After Mexico.
Oh,
We
after
went,
Mexico.
yeah, because we went to
Okay, yeah,
Mexico
yeah,
and
yeah.
then moved back to the
Yeah.
United States.
Yeah.
We lived with you guys for I think a month or two. Maybe
Yeah, it wasn't-
max 3 months. my
Yeah,
dad
it was just
said.
literally for a very short amount of
Yeah.
time before you guys got on your feet and got the apartment you guys lived at. And then, yeah, but I mean, that definitely was the foundation of our relationship, especially being that young, but it it made an impression of, again, our relationship and being as
Yeah.
close as we are. Even with her brothers, the brother she has that's my age, like, we were really, really close growing up too, more so than I was with her for some point. But yeah, I remember even your mom and my mom got so close as well,
Yeah,
and my mom was the one that ended up taking your mom to the hospital when your little brother was born,
Yeah.
and I remember being there till your dad was able to show up. My mom was that support person. They were there for each other because my mom also came to this country not knowing the language. Very similar situation to her mom, so they bonded over that. But yeah, for many reasons, I appreciate our families also sticking us with our language. And for me specifically, to help me learn and stick with Spanish for so long before I started school, so that I was able to communicate with my family. Because yes, English for me, I feel more comfortable, but I still very much speak Spanish as well. So I'm grateful for that, because I can't imagine, had I not known Spanish, I feel like
We would have figured it out. We would have been
like,
Imagine, BD, if you struggled with, the language, so did I. I also struggled with the language. I was in actually bilingual class, but it was, I don't know, what's bilingual? Would it be
Dual
considered
language.
dual? No, I guess not. I was just in Spanish class.
Oh, just
Yeah,
Spanish.
just
No, for me
Spanish.
It was both.
Yeah.
But most of the time we spoke Spanish.
Oh.
more
So
than
they
English.
back then.
No,
I
it's
think they still call it
bilingual,
the bilingual.
yeah.
I
program.
think
Yeah,
it was
the
called the
bilingual.
bilingual, but I
But
remember.
mainly the classes were in Spanish
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the goal is to transition to.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to a school actually further away from home, because not many schools were offered that had a dual language.
they still
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was hard. That was also hard, learning the language. And then my mom pulled me out in third grade. So I don't know how old I would have been in third grade, but in third grade she pulls me out because she's like, "You guys are not speaking English. Like, you guys are literally just speaking Spanish, and this is gonna affect you." So she pulled me out, and sent me to an all English school, and that was hard. I also had a classmate who was bilingual and helped me, but I feel like if you ask me questions from third, fourth grade, like history, or a lot of
I'll
things,
fail that, girl.
I am like so lost.
Go in there.
Not even
Because
knowing
I
English,
didn't-
I thought.
but it's like
No, yeah.
it was a whole nother language, so I feel like I wasn't there. Like, I remember the little girl would sit next to me and interpret everything.
Shout out
What-
to that little girl.
Yeah,
shout
and
out
it's
to
just
that
goes
little
to
girl.
show
that
And
little
shout out
girl
to
too.
that little boy that helped me.
Kindness
Yes.
goes such
Yes.
a long way.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And to teach our
She
children
was.
that, the next
Yeah.
generation,
Yes.
to be kind to those children that need it, because it leaves an impression decades
Oh
later.
yeah, like
Oh, yeah,
I
for
still
sure.
remember the little boy's
Yeah.
name.
Oh,
Like,
I remember this little girl's
and
name
his
too.
face is. I actually saw him not too
Yeah.
many years. Well, I mean years ago, but I saw him, and right away I knew it was him because of like the impact, like you said, his
Yeah.
kindness. He didn't have to.
Yeah,
Like,
same.
he wasn't getting paid.
Those were
Yeah.
good parents right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Going
Yeah.
back to what you were saying.
And
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and then imagine if we struggled, right? Going back to that, our parents leaving everything behind, their comfort zone, their
As
language,
adults.
their culture,
Yeah.
as adults, and bringing little ones with them that depended on them. Like, it's just
Hoping that it would work out.
Yeah. And how am I gonna help my child? Like, I till this day I tell my mom, traveling outside the country with my kids, even within the United States, I'm like, what if my kids get sick? What if I can't communicate with the doctor? What if it's not a good hospital, good doctor, or whatever, like, because we get so comfortable with like our providers, our community,
Yes.
that when you
Yeah.
change, I can only imagine what it was like not going to like another country and not knowing the language. And then if your kids get sick, if you need something,
Helping with homework.
transportation in the United States, yeah.
But knowing that it's not like temporary, it's like this
Forever.
is going
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
possibly forever,
Forever.
because that's the
Yeah.
intention why our parents at least, well, at the beginning, nah, pero después sí, pero that like, yeah.
And also, like, in our time, when our parents were in Mexico, like growing up, cars weren't that common. They weren't, only people who were well off had a car. So it was a small percentage of people, and then everything was just by foot. You just walked everywhere. So like
my mom
here,
would walk us here everywhere at the beginning because
Oh,
she's
really?
like she was so used to doing that in Mexico, and here
Yeah.
like she would walk us to school in the winter. She would like do everything walking because one, obviously they're not gonna come to a car right away, but my mom, like, that was my norm, and for her was like, that makes me feel like I'm still home.
yeah. My mom we did a lot of walking to a lot of places, but then it was also hard because a lot of places were far. Like I said, my school was far, so it was just
Yeah.
hard. Even for that, I just thinking about it, it's like, wow, they came and they would have to learn how to use public transportation, rely on someone to drive them around so they could get a car.
And then having multiple children that have to be in multiple places, like, it's just a lot.
Yeah.
That's again where my story is very different with you guys. Not only just having me, but also my dad was very much established here by the time he married my mom and by the time I was born. So it wasn't a big culture shock for him. The language, he very much was more comfortable with the lifestyle here versus Mexico. He wasn't in Mexico for as long as their parents were. So although my mom, you could say, sacrificed some of her life, but she happily moved here to be with my dad. So she also had to learn the language and made her own sacrifices in that way for sure. And it was a struggle, but she never let it hold her back, just like any of our parents. You know, they did what was best for us. They did what they could, what they needed to do, and I just can't even begin to imagine.
Yeah, so
I can't.
shout out to our parents. We
Shout
love
out
you
to our
guys. If
parents.
you're watching us, you better be
Los
watching us.
queremos,
Ah, no.
mamá.
Son los únicos que
You
nos
better be
están
our
viendo.
first likes
Son
and
los
our
únicos que nos están viendo. Sí, hija, tú
Our
puedes.
number one fans.
No, pero bromas a un lado, like, mis
El
respetos
sacrificio.
para mi mamá y papá. And you learn to appreciate it too the older you get. Thankfully,
sí.
we also have parents, and I know it because I see it with you guys and us just in general, like, they've always shown us to be very grateful for everything that we
Yes.
have, the smallest thing to the biggest thing. Pero de chiquita, pues, tú dices, ay, pues, qué, pero, pues, nomás nos movimos y ya qué, pues, qué chido, ya tenemos una casa, okay, cool, we have a house. But to
Everything
think,
that
like,
it took to get
oh,
there
the
now.
sacrifice, yeah, now you're like, yo digo, my mom is a fregona. Todas nuestras mamás, nuestros papás
Yes.
también, mi papá también.
También.
Pero digo, like, ahora lo aprecias más. Y ustedes, yo
Claro,
solo me
claro
puedo
que
imaginar como mamás as moms, like, to even think, like, I always, now I'm like, man, I was so ungrateful. Although I was grateful, I feel like, so
Yeah.
now shout out to our parents. We love you guys so much. Los
Sí,
queremos tanto y
yes,
gracias
we
por
do.
todos sus
Todos los
sacrificios.
Oh, yeah.
Y que nos siguieron juntando y inculcando
Yes.
eso para,
That's-
para
yeah, eso es
llegarnos a
otra
donde
cosa.
estamos
Ahora.
ahorita.
Hablando de sacrificios, precisamente lo que estamos diciendo de nuestros papás, creo que puedo hablar no solamente por mí, pero por todas ustedes, que también gracias a los sacrificios que han hecho ellos, todo lo que nos han enseñado a través de los años, también ellos nos han inculcado bastante de no olvidarnos de dónde venimos, de lo que es nuestra cultura, nuestro lenguaje. En la casa siempre, como decía Jessie, siempre de alguna otra manera se habló el español. Apreciamos mucho más las cosas. Como les digo, de ver todos los sacrificios que nuestros papás hicieron. Quizás no lo entendíamos en años atrás, pero nos fuimos haciendo adultas y ahora algunas de nosotros que somos ya mamás, pues también decimos, ahora entiendo bastante.
Y quieren
todo
hacer lo mismo por sus hijos para que también
Sí.
tengan esas experiencias que nosotros, porque solo me puedo imaginar, like, como dijiste, like, what if your parents would have not, like, said, Jessica, you still have to
Pushed
learn Spanish. Maybe our relationship wouldn't be as strong. Maybe we wouldn't identify the same way. So yeah,
Or just being
it's
as strong in our culture and our roots.
Yeah.
Like if our parents, like if my parents, just for an example, had gone just slightly different route than your guys's as far as, pushing the Spanish and also taking me to Mexico as often as they did, I think that would have affected our relationship because I think I could have seen myself going a different route in life and not appreciating our family and again going to the family values as well and how important they have instilled that with us as far as important and family is everything, you know. And like I remember my dad always would say, like, friends come and go but your family's forever, and that could be looked at as a good thing and a bad thing. You know, we're stuck with each other forever. And I do hear more often than not too how families are not close, you know, and
It's not
Yeah.
common.
it's and or also just not cousins, like, oh yeah, we only see each other, you know, on one special occasion or whatever. Whereas with us growing up, like how often we were around each other.
And although we live, like, again, se puede decir, far away from each other in the sense that it wasn't that easy.
It wasn't like we were neighbors or all living in the
Yeah,
same
and they
neighborhood.
were-
Like if it were in Mexico where we could be walking to each
Yeah,
other's houses.
no.
Here it's a
commute.
drive.
It's a commute.
It's a drive, and especially us living almost an hour away from them. But we were almost out there every week. I remember being almost out there every weekend. Maybe not so much during the cold months, but summer and for sure during bowling season, we were out there every
Right.
weekend. Every weekend.
Yeah. So what's one thing that you guys, like, let's just pick one thing that you remember that when we were little that we would do when we came together. I mean, there's so many, obviously.
So
we
many.
would stay here forever, but if you can, like, say, like, if I close my eyes, I always say, for example, I can start, like, I really have short-term memory, honestly, in general, but I think from my childhood, there's little pieces that I can vividly remember. One of them was, like, hanging out so much with Moni and her brothers, like, nonstop. Like, I felt like we were there every day, but not, obviously, but we would always play outside of their apartment complex. It was so big, and our parents would let us be kids, and that's another thing, like, our childhoods, like, compared to now kids, those were childhoods. We were, like, in the dirt, we were, like, playing, like, hoy vamos a jugar a ser maestras, hoy vamos a jugar a la disco.
Using our imagination.
Vamos a poner nuestro puestito
Ahí no
de
existía el
chicharrones.
aburrimiento que
No,
hoy en
no.
día, bueno,
Or
Or
like,
tableta,
I'm
el
bored.
teléfono.
No, we would literally figure it out. We're like, ¿qué quieres hacer hoy?
No, and if
¿Quieres
you said you were
doctor?
bored, okay, vamos a limpiar la casa.
Yeah.
Ve a limpiar tu cuarto, ve a lavarte los
yo te
trastes.
busco algo para que no
Yeah.
te aburras.
I don't even think we were ever bored.
Yeah,
like,
no.
honestly,
No, sí,
like,
la
I
verdad,
remember
no.
us, like, using our imagination, but
Sí.
I vividly can remember us, like, running from the complex, going outside, going to the back, and playing, like,
All
picnic
evening. I feel like it was all
tables.
evening. From the
Sí.
moment
Yeah.
you guys sat there to the moment you guys left. And I honestly don't even recall our parents like, I knew they
Checking
were
on us.
checking on us, but they were
Por la
like,
ventanita, oh,
you know, definitely not how I
One,
am
two,
with
three,
my
four,
kids.
Yeah, not
Like,
like
yeah,
now. I
like-
think parents are paranoid. Like, not that they weren't, like you said, not they didn't care about us, but I felt like, yeah, like,
It
Also,
was,
times were
it was
different.
different.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
It was
different
different. We
times.
grew up in
Very
great
different.
times. I
Yeah.
feel.
We did.
for
We
sure,
did.
for sure.
For me, the best memories I feel like we have were the Halloween parties. I love
Yeah.
Yeah.
from the beginning to the end, because you know I remember sometimes, not always, but sometimes, like, we'd be one of the first to arrive because my dad was always very punctual, as I also mentioned in our first podcast. We were always one of the first to arrive, and there would always be someone already there, like in a corner, dressed as something creepy.
And we'd
And
have to figure out who
literally
is
the
it.
experience started
Yeah.
from the moment you got there, and then everyone always went all out. Like, you either did family costumes, like I remember you guys always did amazing.
They
family
always took
costumes.
first place.
Yeah.
No.
And then we also did our performances, like literally every aspect of that, and then all the great ass food that all our aunts and uncles brought, like
Yeah.
just every aspect of our parties, all of them, but especially the Halloween
Oh,
ones.
yes.
I loved,
yes, I would
loved
have to
our
agree.
parties.
I
That,
would
and that's
have
the
to
one I definitely miss the most, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yes.
Like, because we used to gather for 4th of July, Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, Easter. It just
Yeah.
the big aspect parties were the 4th of July, Halloween, and Christmas. That was literally our whole family.
Mhm.
And then Easter was more intimate, like a little, you know, our little group.
I think it was like
whatever,
the siblings who had kids around
on
the same age.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then New Year's was always at my parents' house. It kind of like just he always invited everybody, but it was just always the same people that kind of gathered there. So smaller scales, but yeah. And then we did a bowling league. Our family's really big into bowling. All our parents' siblings. So every Friday, our uncle managed a bowling alley, and every Friday during bowling season, we were there all
You
together.
know what? At one point, I thought we owned that.
So did I. I would tell people. I would tell
We
my
have a
friends.
bowling alley.
Like, my family owns a
Well, there
bowling
was
alley.
pictures of our uncles there. You
Yeah,
know?
that's
And
why
then,
he was like the main
Yeah,
guy.
everybody like SPO, SPO,
No, but we
whatever.
had, I think, 3 uncles that were like framed in the on the wall because they were veterans.
Oh, maybe. Well,
But
we only had
two-
2 veteran uncles.
I thought it was like 3.
No, it's 2. I
Two?
think it's-
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay.
still, I feel like our family was highly involved in anything.
Oh, for sure.
that had
Everyone
to
knew
do-
our family. Everyone knew, yeah, they just knew by the last name. Everyone knew who was from our family. And on Fridays when it was during bowling season, like, we took over that bowling alley. And it was a huge bowling alley.
Yeah.
It
It
was
was.
huge.
That was the place to be.
It
on
was like
Friday.
20-something lanes.
Sí,
It was-
para mí también igual, los recuerdos de ahí, de ese bowling alley, era como ya esperabas que fuera
Fuera
Friday.
viernes,
Yo,
porque
bueno,
we
pues,
could- we would get to
sí,
each other.
But you
sí,
said
porque
the
íbamos
food-
al
the food was
pescadito.
Oh, that fish.
Yeah.
I was just telling my
The
mom
fried
the other day, you
shrimp.
know what I'm craving so much?
Me
I'm like,
too.
a fish sandwich. She's like, McDonald's? I'm like, Mom, no, I like the
No.
bowling alley fish sandwich. Like, they
Yeah.
still sell them.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a different place, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
those
Pero
days.
sí,
It's different.
yo la
It
verdad
hit the
sí.
spot.
Yeah.
Sí, eso es lo que más recuerdo, la comida, y pues como digo, cada viernes estaba yo ya después de escuela, decía, vamos a ir al boliche, vamos a ir al boliche. Y como,
Nadie me invitan a hacer nada porque ya tengo planes de
Right.
Sí.
y el saber que iba a ver a mis primos. a mis primas. El saber que iba a ver a tanta familia, yo decía, eso era lo que I was looking forward to that every Friday, and then of course having dinner there prior to the bowling game, and it was just it was fun times, and then also remembering that was like my first legit kind of job. Like my sister and I used to be like servers.
Back. What do they call
to
them when
me,
you
Like bussers.
bussers?
Yeah, me sentía como ya
que éramos meseras.
sí, yo ya el rol de mesera me lo tomé muy en serio, y también otros sí, a 12-year-old, y también otros primos también hacían lo mismo, ayudábamos. Entonces yo creo que por eso pensábamos que éramos dueños de ese lugar.
Helping out the family, not growing
Family business.
Sí, pero eso es el recuerdo más bonito among
sure.
others, pero sí.
And when we weren't getting together at the bowling alley, we were getting together at our uncle's house, who had this big land, open area, like farm basically, without the animals. I mean, he had dogs, but
chickens at one point.
¿Sí?
I think so. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
estoy
he had a lot
imaginando,
of
pero
dogs.
creo
I
que
remember
perros, sí.
he had a lot
the
of dogs.
Dalmatians, yeah. But yeah, that when we weren't at the bowling alley during bowling season, because that was usually during the cold months. We'd get together at our uncle's house, and literally again just also big gathering, and kids just running everywhere.
Yeah.
Literally on the plate, he had a swing set in the field. I mean, just literally running everywhere. We were on the deck, se hacían las bolitas por donde quiera. Los más grandes sacan el deck, los niños sacan jugando en el swing set. I mean, and then our parents all in the barn playing cards and eating and drinking and having a good time with their siblings, and everyone always took a dish, and it wasn't this big deal. It was just, you already knew, like, you take a dish, we're going to take the chicken, we're going to take the rice, whatever. Our tias taking the salsas, and just everyone always contributed, shared, took a drink.
Home picked up. I think that everybody.
They always help clean.
Set up whatever it was.
Yeah.
And for you, what was your favorite?
For me, oh man, there's so many, but one of them is definitely hanging out at mi tio's house, and we would go across the street. No, well, he lived in a big piece of land, but to us it was like we'd cross the street and we would pretend it was like a whole nother section of a game we would play, but las tías nos ponían a jugar juegos de México, cuales yendo atrás al tema, jugamos que las ollitas, que no me acuerdo cómo se llamaba, pero era el tronco, que abrazábamos un árbol y todos nos íbamos abrazando así en tren. ¿Cómo se llamaba ese juego?
No me recuerdo. Pero sí me acuerdo de esa parte.
Y era como jalar la cebollita o algo. Eran puros juegos, no me acuerdo. Sí.
Esta mujer tiene muy buena memoria, porque
no me
yo sí me acuerdo
nombres,
también de muchas cosas. Ustedes, pues obvio, estaban más chiquillas. A lo mejor no recuerdo.
Pero no, que yo. Pero sí,
no, o sea que me
Jessie
refiero
llegó
pues
a jugar.
que no tienen, o sea, a lo que me refiero es que yo me puedo acordar mucho más porque ustedes pues son más chiquillas, pero por eso digo, Moni me sorprende que se acuerde de estas cosas, porque pues, yo pensaría no se acuerdan de tanto, a diferencia de yo sí puedo decir, me acuerdo de esto, me acuerdo del otro, pues porque yo soy la... Yeah, I'm a little bit older.
You were a little
just
older
a little bit, not
Just by like
a few months.
Just about a month. Yeah, right.
Sí, pero sí recuerdo eso mucho. Había una tía en específico, ya usted sabe quién es, que se encargaba de hacer los juegos, como dices,
a la cebollita, las ollitas,
no sé qué tal cosa. Pues sí, juegos que juegas en México, no son muy comunes aquí. Entonces, those were good times también.
Really good times. That's the thing I remember. No me acuerdo los nombres, pero me acuerdo que jugamos muchos juegos que sé que eran de México, que ellos jugaban de chiquitos, los tíos
y las
tías. Y sí, era también súper divertido. Bien divertido.
Those were the days for sure. Y ahora pues obviamente a través de los años hemos tenido oportunidades de hacer cosas diferentes, de juntarnos ya de maneras diferentes. Now, I think before, technically we didn't have a choice, porque nuestros papás nos llevaban, y ya con el tiempo we had a choice, and things are like, I'm too cool to hang out with mom and dad, but I can say that although growing up to a certain extent, we still wanted to hang out with our parents, and we still wanted to be with the primos and everything, so that's nice, pero pues sí, a veces la vida cambia, things change, and now that's where we're at now, and but it's brought us to being here and still being close and continuing to share more memories. So, do you guys want to share a little bit about where we're at now? Yeah.
So I guess I can go first. So after high school, I ended up going to college, and I went as far as getting my master's degree in social work, specifically medical social work. And I do currently work in the field part-time, but I am a full-time mom of 2 toddlers, so that is my main priority, which has always been a dream of mine. Anyone that knows me knows I've always dreamt of being a mom.
And we're all like,
and I think I always joke how that's why my parents sent me to an all-girls high school, because their parents were scared that I was going to be a teen mom. And how much I loved children, always have. But yeah, so that is where I'm at now, and I couldn't be happier with how my life has gone. And yeah.
and I'm also a social worker, so that's something I think also that we have carried careers to a certain extent, or at one point we did. So I am also in the social work field. I myself don't have any kids, and then maybe we can share more later in other episodes the topic of like the dynamic, because I'm the only one here without any children. I have 4-legged babies, but other than that, that's my focus right now is my career, and then getting to live through them as moms. And
The
I
fun
always,
aunt
yeah,
that gets to hand the children back
yeah.
when they're being
I
fussy.
love kids and I love their kids. I am always like, I'm that tia that wants to do like activities with them, or I'm the one that sends them videos like, you can do this with your kids. They're like, why don't you have your own and do that? But
She
I'm
loves
like,
setting up the game. She's very creative in that way, so we
Yeah.
definitely always look to her for games and the fun aspect of get-togethers.
yeah, but that's where I'm at right now. I would say my focus continues to be my career and helping others through the field that I've chosen to. And then I'm also into a lot of creativity stuff, as she mentioned. So I spend my free time doing that, like YouTube and other things.
Sí, como dijo Cari, yo pues sí, soy mamá, pero antes de ser mamá fui otras cosas. Y yo pues en lo laboral mi experiencia viene más en lo que es el campo de finanzas y en ahora sí que the banking world. Yo trabajé en un banco por más de 13 años, entonces ahí
Wow.
viene toda esa
When she
experiencia.
said everything, I was like, what?
Ajá, trabajé por muchos años en un banco y después hice lo que fue finanzas, después tuve a mis hijos y me quedé en casa. Entonces ahorita eso es lo que hago, sigo cuidando de mis hijos a todo momento, pero ahora sí que tiempo completo, y pues ahora sí que explorando diferentes cosas. Si en una cosa no me acomodo, estoy dispuesta a ver qué otras opciones hay para mí, pero ahorita lo más importante, así como compartió Jessie, mis hijos son mi prioridad y siempre lo van a ser y siempre lo he dicho. Pero claro, yo sé que mi momento también va a llegar para hacer lo que yo realmente quiero ser y simplemente confiar que todo lo bueno viene en el momento que tiene que llegar. Y pues sí, ahorita disfrutando de la vida, de mis hijos, de mi familia.
Y yo en eso comparto con Didi. También ahorita, I'm a full-time stay-at-home mom. I did go to college. I got my nursing degree. And I'm laughing because my daughter likes to tell people I'm a retired nurse. So that they see me, well, they see my spouse, my husband, and they're like, well, he's kind of young. And
How old
he
is the
looks
wife?
young. How old is the wife?
She's already retired.
Yeah, she's already retired. That must be the sugar mama. But yes, my daughter likes to say that I'm a retired nurse. And I worked so hard for my degree, never saw myself being a stay-at-home mom. And now I can relate to when I used to work and take care of my kids. Kind of
And
Jesse's, yeah. In Jesse's situation, I was part-time. It was tough. It was really tough, but it gave me that space away from home and that break. But then when I had my second child, that's when I decided to stay home. And that's another full-time job that's very, very tough, but I absolutely love it. it has more good than bad. It's hard. It is really hard. But yeah, I never thought I would stop working as a nurse. I worked so hard for my degree. I hope to one day go back. But right now, my priority as the girls here is my kids. So,
Especially when they're this young.
yeah.
Because our kids are a little younger than Vidi's. Not that they ever stop meeting their parents, as we have come to know. We're still all very
Mom,
close
what do
to
I
our
do?
parents, yeah. Call them very often. And that's another thing, too, that we very much have in common. I think a lot of people can relate and a lot of people can't. That we talk to our parents every day. We see them very, very often. Like, I can say they're my best friends. Like, my parents are my best friends. I don't know what I'd do without them. But yeah, I also had a stay-at-home mom, so I knew that if it was possible for me, like having the impact she had on my life and my childhood, I definitely wanted to do that with my kids and let them see me more than someone who doesn't love them and care. Not to judge anybody who puts their children in daycare. I just knew that's what I wanted. Because I know it's also not feasible, and I know we're very blessed to have this ability to be able to stay with our children. That's something your guys' parents were not able to do, but I had that example with my mom that again I was so grateful for, especially
I'm still
now.
aiming to be a stay-at-home dog mom.
Dog
It's
mom?
not-
That's
it's
possible,
Not
Prima.
happening yet.
It's possible, still keep striving, keep
I
striving.
want to be a stay-at-home. No, I'm just kidding. I don't.
Hint, hint.
You know? No.
You know who you are.
But definitely has an impact the way.
Oh
that,
yes, yes. And again, I know it's not feasible for everybody, so that's why I'm always so grateful that it is possible for us because I know our kids will look back and be like, wow, yeah, like hopefully have more good memories than bad.
Yes.
Hopefully they'll
Like,
remember.
Mom, I wish you would go to work.
Hopefully they don't remember all the times we were yelling at them or losing our patience with them. Hopefully they remember, the fun times with us. And like I do with my mom. Of course, those teenagers especially, you're just like, get out of my face. Like, I wish you'd go work, or I wish you'd stop being all up in my business, or whatever. We all go through those phases. Vidi's going a little bit through the teenage phase. Not that her daughter's saying, that to her.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Y pues la gente me pregunta, ¿cuándo vas a regresar al trabajo? ¿Cuándo vas a regresar en tu carrera? Y ahora viendo a Viri en la etapa que ella está primero, ¿verdad? Pues porque los niños están muy chiquitos y me necesitan. Pero viendo a Viri, que tiene a sus niños justo más grandes, veo que no sé ni cuándo va a ser el momento perfecto para que yo pueda regresar a trabajar, porque los niños chiquitos te necesitan por chiquitos, pero también después te necesitan por grandes, ya sea por actividades, sea porque quieres estar más al pendiente y gracias a Dios
Estás
estamos
involucrado.
Yeah.
Sí.
Estamos en una posición donde podemos estar más en casa con nuestros niños.
And be involved and be at their events and all that. Yeah.
Pero a pesar de que ustedes son like very like hands-on moms and like stay-at-home moms or part-time also working, we still also find the time to make things like this, like the podcast happen, because we really appreciate like the sacrifices, like we mentioned, that our parents made for us to continue to have that bond, regardless of what stage we are. Like being moms and being so busy. I could have easily be like, I'm not in a stage that you guys are. I can't identify with half of the stuff they talk about. I'm like, cool, I'm over here in moral support.
Like, that sucks.
Yeah,
that sounds
sucks
hard.
for you. And I'm not a mom. But I made a choice that I appreciate the relationship that we have, and I still want to be part of that. I could have easily said like, this
No
is
tengo
my,
cosas en
this is my
comunes con
chapter.
ellos,
That,
eso no es
yeah, we're
parte,
cool and
yeah.
everything, but
Right.
same with
Yeah.
you guys, with me. Like we don't, Gadi's not in the same.
I mean, we thought about it, but
Wow. We thought about just doing a podcast with three of us,
and then you found out, so we had to do
we had to. No, pero yeah,
Okay.
regardless, we still find the time. It's not easy.
No.
Trust us, we've been talking about this for months. And just small gatherings, but even like now starting traditions like, hey, let's have a cousin giving. Let's get together in someone's house, maybe us once a month, whatever it is. We still live apart ways. We have busy schedules, but I think the reminder in the back of our head, like todo lo que han hecho nuestros papás por nosotros, ¿por qué no continuar esas tradiciones que ustedes que tienen hijos también de verla? Esa es tu prima, es tu primo, convive con ellos, con la ilusión de que ellos sigan las tradiciones o la relación tan siquiera cercana que tenemos de nosotros.
How and we've talked about just just to end it kind of here the conversation, but I think your dad and my dad have made comments like when we've said we've gathered, like, oh, I was with my cousins, and they're like, wow, that's awesome. It's like, I don't think you realize, like, again, how close we really are. I know they realize it, but I don't think they, since we don't tell them constantly, like, oh, I talked to them today, I talked to them. We talk every day. Like, again, we talk every day, sometimes different conversations through different platforms. But we literally talk every day, and if we could see each other more often, we would. But again, it's not just our schedules that we're looking at. We're looking at our children's schedules, our significant other schedules, and babysitter schedules, and whatever. So it's a lot harder. But yes, going back to our parents made so many sacrifices and instilled in us the importance of family and how family comes first no matter what. They're always there for you. We always go back to that and making sure we find the time, whether it's once a month or however often we can, but all together or just the four of us.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, it's
Enjoy
just a
this
time for
time.
us to hold hands
And cry. I'm surprised we haven't cried yet, guys.
I know, surprisingly, in the next episode.
Despuesito, despuesito nos van a ver aquí con los Kleenex.
Well, how about we end it here
Yes.
with a cheers?
Cheers. Más que
To
primas.
Más que
Más que
Primas.
primas. Love you, ladies.
Es
so
limonada,
much.
¿eh? Esto es limonada.
Limonada.
We'll see you guys at the next one.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Hasta la próxima.